This is WKYT News at 6:30 on the CW Lexington.
Good evening, I'm Sam Dick.
And I'm Jennifer Palumbo. We are glad you are with us on this Friday night. It's a story that we have been talking about all week.
It won't go away.
The creepy clowns, but today, a moment that has gone viral in this case.
Well, trending right now, and really, when you say a picture is worth 1,000 words, this one is, when you see what this guy is wearing and how he's wearing it. Take a look. Police in Middlesboro arrested a young man, walking down a wooded area dressed as this clown. He's charged with disorderly conduct, among other things.
That story is the most clicked on right now on WKYT.com, followed by the clown sightings creeping into southern Kentucky and the Kentucky Supreme Court overruling Governor Matt Bevin's cuts to higher education. Here's what we're following right now at 6:30. State police are investigating an officer-involved shooting in Powell County. Deputies say the suspect was shot once in the chest following a chase. We're tracking the latest in the investigation.
This is an extremely dangerous substance. It is so potent that it's possible to absorb a lethal dose simply by inadvertent skin contact.
Continuing the fight against heroin, Louisville is part of a new pilot program to combat the drug. Find out the impact of that and how it could have an impact on the future.
And a gas station clerk shot several times during an attempted robbery, sharing his story in this video. Find out what he has to say to the community.
As far as the weather, Jennifer, Friday night, we could not ask for better weather in terms of it's officially fall, but we're still in the summer temperatures.
It still doesn't feel like it yet, but some people have already kicked off the weekend. They're enjoying the sights and sounds of Lakeside Live. Take a look. The evening of music and fun continues at the mall at Lexington Green.
And guess where Chief Meteorologist Chris Bailey is? He joins us from there tonight. Hey, Chris.
Hey guys, yeah, you have to really twist my arm, huh, to get me out on a night like this. Lakeside Live is the place to be right now, and as we've been kidding, we know we're Lakeside, but behind me, we've got a bunch of river rats. All right, that's the name of the band that is on the stage. That's what they go by. They're from Cincinnati, by the way, hence the name River Rats, the Ohio River up there. But you know where? If you're thinking, boy, those guys look familiar, well, they play at Kings Island during the summer. So that's where maybe you've heard them before, and they're going to be here all evening long until 9 o'clock. Weather-wise, let's look outside on a toasty evening out there with temperatures mainly into the 80s across central and eastern Kentucky. Those thermometers are going to continue to hang on the warm side for the next several hours. We'll drop it as the sun sets into the 70s. Live sky cam right now showing a little more in the way of some cloud cover compared to the past several evenings. Should make for a fiery sunset on this first full day of fall. And right now, again, we're going to continue to hang on to those upper 80s. Humidity is way, way low, so get outside and enjoy your evening. When I come back here in just a few minutes, we will focus on a forecast that does include a big blast of fall. Not this weekend, but I'll show you when it arrives. We'll time it into where you live when I come back in just a matter of a few minutes.
Thank you, Chris. State police are investigating an officer-involved shooting in Powell County. The sheriff's office says the deputy used every possible tool to bring the man down, but none of it seemed to work.
The deputy chased the man along Copper Creek Road near Clay City and tried to stop him by using a taser, baton, and pepper spray. When those didn't work, the deputy pulled out his gun and shot the suspect. WKYT's Hillary Thornton has our top story at 6:30.
This whole thing starting around 11 o'clock this morning with a call about a suspicious man in someone's yard out here along Coppers Creek Road.
Asked the subject what he was doing. Subject answered that this was the only spot that he could find that he could get Wi-Fi.
The 41-year-old man then refusing to give the deputy his name, taking off running. A deputy coming for backup, then following him, telling him to get on the ground, but when he refused, investigators say he was tased. That was unsuccessful, and the suspect then began pulling out the prongs. The deputy then getting on top of him, tasing him again.
That wasn't doing any good at all. This man was about 6'3", 6'4", probably 275, 280. And this deputy's 5 foot 4 inches tall, weighs about 160 pounds. He gets up, he throws the deputy off his back.
They say after being tased several times was unsuccessful, neither the suspect or deputy giving up. The chase then continued out behind this field.
They finally got to a corner of a fence row, and when they did, the guy sat down and said, "I got arrested."
The deputy telling him that he was under arrest. However, then another fight breaking out, getting to the point the deputy feared for his life, and knowing his taser baton, and pepper spray had all been unsuccessful.
The very last tool that he used, that he felt like he had to use to save his own life, was his handgun.
Investigators say the suspect was then shot in the chest.
And while the deputy was there waiting on backup and the ambulance crew to get there, he laid there and smoked a cigarette.
In Powell County, Hillary Thornton, WKYT.
The deputy and suspect's names have not been released, but we have learned the suspect has a long criminal history and actually had a warrant out for his arrest. A man suspected of shooting into a Lexington home is now in jail. Dexter Cooper facing several charges, including 3 counts of wanton endangerment. Police say he fired several shots into a home near Castlewood Park yesterday morning. No one was hurt, fortunately. An officer who heard those shots says he pulled Cooper over on Carlisle Avenue and found a gun, shell casings, and drugs in the car. He was arraigned this afternoon in a Fayette County court.
He's down but not out. Tonight, a Lexington gas station clerk shot several times during an attempted robbery is talking to us from his hospital bed. And as WKYT's Kristen Kennedy tells us, Charles Moore and his family have a message for the community.
Everybody knows I'm a Marine, so 4 rounds ain't.
A very brave, very blunt Chuck Moore released this video from UK Hospital.
I really appreciate the support, and I'm doing pretty good.
The support is helping the gas station clerk. Police say robbers shot him at this marathon several times Saturday. His son says he's not letting partial paralysis from those gunshots stop him.
To see him like sitting up and talking and be strong like that, it gives me hope for the future.
Moore's son Brian plans to be out here Saturday morning. Friends of his father are raising funds for him. They're giving out food and they're holding a raffle.
He's a strong guy, so he's getting better, you know. But it's still going to be a long road.
Police are still looking for the men who shot Moore. They're also looking for a getaway driver. Moore doesn't know when he'll get to leave the hospital or just how much he'll owe in medical expenses, but does know the support he's getting right now is priceless.
Keep the cards and letters coming. They're really helping me out.
In Lexington, Kristen Kennedy, WKYT.
Officers believe the men who robbed the marathon on Lansdowne Drive also robbed the Shell station at Lexington Green that same night. Witnesses reported seeing a white passenger car leaving both areas after the robberies.
Kentucky's Chief Justice says the number of expungement requests have doubled since a new law went into effect, allowing some convicted felons to clear their record. Chief Justice John Minton Jr. told lawmakers that they have received over 8,000 requests for expungement since the law went into effect on July 15th. He said that number is about double the number of requests at this time last year. The bill allows people convicted of certain nonviolent felonies to clear their records if they have no other pending charges.
Dozens of people are looking for new jobs tonight after cuts at a Lexington-based business. Big Ass Solutions cut its staff by 3% this week. 39 employees lost their jobs as part of the company-wide restructuring. The company, known for fans and lights, told WKYT it's had double-digit percentage growth in revenue, but found itself staffed incorrectly for their current and future needs. The company still employs more than 1,000 people. New at 6:30, sanctuaries across the U.S. are getting ready for an influx of retired private laboratory chimpanzees. Leaders from Jessamine County's Primate Rescue Center are joining other primate rescue groups in Washington state this week to talk about the future retirees. The federal government is stopping the support of experiments on chimps. Now the challenge is finding the room and resources to house and rehabilitate the animals.
A Nobel Prize winner paid a visit to Maxwell Elementary School today. Human rights activist Kailash Satyarthi was a recipient of the 2014 Nobel Prize for his work in the global campaign to end child slavery. The students had a celebration to honor his work and for the students of Maxwell to showcase his accomplishments.
The personality traits that he has, the love that he has for children, it just made this a really authentic experience. And we're just so grateful for that because we wanted to know that he is just like us and we can be like him.
Satyarthi visited the school because students sent him artwork a few years ago.
A Kentucky city joins a federal pilot program to combat heroin. Dr. Daniel Wormerling, a pharmacist and UK professor, breaks down the news in 3 minutes on WKYT News at 6:30 on the CW Lexington.
Wildcats head coach Mark Stoops says the team's defense needs to get together. Dave Baker has the sports buzz later. Welcome back live to WKYT News here at 6:30 on the CW Lexington.
This is 55-year-old William Dixon. He was a City of Lexington Division of Water quality employee. Lexington police say the fentanyl found in his home was the largest seizure they've ever made. Heroin laced with the painkiller fentanyl is blamed for a sharp increase in overdose deaths.
This is an extremely dangerous substance. It is so potent that it's possible to absorb a lethal dose simply by inadvertent skin contact.
Dixon will be arraigned on the charges in the case against him on Monday.
Some facts. Kentucky is one of 3 states with the highest rate of overdose deaths. And Louisville announced this week it will adopt a federal pilot program to try and combat drug abuse. Federal money will be used to create a team that will investigate heroin overdoses as crime scenes to try and crack down on the dealers.
To help us break down the news is Dr. Daniel Wormeling, a pharmacist and UK pharmacy professor. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Sure.
As a medical professional, how do you think this will impact this problem?
Well, as a result of today's announcements of the arrest, you are taking what would have become a public health hazard with a lot of tragedies off the street. And so fentanyl is so powerful that many people who received a hot dose of heroin that had a lot of fentanyl in it would not be able to be conscious before taking the needle out of their arm. The drug paraphernalia will be there. We use this medicine in anesthesiology to put people to sleep in preparation for surgery, which we do need something to work quickly in that capacity.
You created a life-saving product aimed at reducing the death toll from overdoses, right? Tell us about that.
So naloxone nasal spray came as a result of an unmet medical need where naloxone injection since 1971 was only an injectable product. So it's used in ambulances, ERs, and post-op recovery rooms. Okay, but to use it off-label, paramedics starting 10 or 15 years ago used the injection product with a nasal spray adapter to administer it before an intravenous set could be established. So it speeded things up. And it reduced a hazard in big cities because many of the patients they would see were HIV or hepatitis C positive. And waking someone up with a needle can be a hazard, occupational hazard to a paramedic.
We've talked about what doctors and law enforcement can do, but what are the people who are watching at home? What can they do to help with this epidemic?
Okay, so first is to think about this just as we learned in the 90s about CPR and use of defibrillators. Anybody can do things to save another person's life. But we have to have education, and that comes from a variety of different sources, but our civic and community leaders, medical professionals, etc., can all contribute to educating the public about what they can do. And in this case, we need to understand how to recognize an overdose, what does it look like, then call 911 to get help, and then you can administer a naloxone kit if you have one in your possession. And so this is the cheapest version we have, but it's a prescription kit that comes from UK, and I dispense this around our community at the health department and other places as an example.
To try and save lives.
To try and save lives. And so it's like an EpiPen in concept where the family members or the immediate household, whoever they are, siblings, mother, father, etc., would be able to have this at home. Everybody knows where it is and what to do with it. And so then if that's true, you're able to save time to protect someone's brain because they're not breathing as a result of the overdose. And so they're oxygen starved, just like in drowning.
Glad you brought that up. Thank you for being with us. We could talk more about it.
Plenty, sure.
You've hit some good points.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for being here.
And you can join the conversation about Kentucky's heroin epidemic by leaving your comments on our Facebook page. Let us know what you think. Now let's head back out to Lexington Green, where Chief Meteorologist Chris Bailey is enjoying Lakeside Live. Hi, Chris.
Yeah, we're roughly 45 minutes in right now to our Friday evening of Lakeside Live. We're here till 9 o'clock. The band, the River Rats out of Cincinnati, Ohio, on the stage right now. And they've got some great tunes. Boy, if you like swing music, you like a little jazz, this is the place to be through 9 o'clock this evening. A lot of folks are out here. Temperature-wise, on a toasty Friday evening, still a lot of mid and upper 80s out there. But as the sun is now getting closer to setting. We're going to notice those numbers dropping fairly quickly. If you're heading out to a high school football game, we're going to see nice weather rolling on across the region. Those thermometers will generally be dropping through the 70s as we get into the second half of those games. Still, the kickoff coming up here in just a little bit. We'll see numbers that will be into the low 80s. As we make our way with your Defender Radar Network, nothing is out there. Not expecting anything until we get into Monday. That's when we got a big fall cold front that will be right on top of the area. And that fall cold front will give us some showers and thunderstorms as we go into our Monday. And look at the cool air coming in behind that. That'll take hold as we go into late Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday with daytime temperatures that may struggle to get to 70 on several days. Watch the temperatures drop quickly as that front blows through here for the day on Monday. We may see a midday high around 80 in some areas, then drop it quickly. By the time we hit the afternoon, the morning hours on Tuesday, a lot of upper 40s. Into the afternoon, those temperatures will only respond into the upper 60s to around 70. 7-day forecast will continue to show more of the cool weather taking over as we go into next week. Short term, it is still toasty this weekend, but patience is a virtue, especially when it comes to weather, with the numbers coming way down as we go into next week. We'll see highs upper 60s to around 70 and lows, guys, that'll hit the mid-40s on a couple of occasions. So we're going to slice tomorrow's 90 in half for a low temperature by the middle of next week. I'll send it back to you. I got a little pep in my step. We got the jazz band going behind me, the River Cats out of Cincinnati, and cutting a mean tune. I'm not saying I'm going to cut a rug out here, but you know, there's concrete, so I may cut a little concrete.
I'd like to see that.
Keep the party going, my friend. Thank you, Chris. Enjoy it. Appreciate it.
Yeah, you don't want to see that.
Yeah, no, we don't.
Well, Kentucky will have a new quarterback for its SEC showdown against South Carolina tomorrow in Commonwealth Stadium. Dave Baker has the Sports Buzz next.
It's time now for the Sports Buzz. Each night, we'll talk with Dave Buzz Baker for an inside look at what's going on. An inside look right now, we're going to start with Coach Mark Stoops with some pretty strong public words about his players, specifically the defense.
Here's the thing. After what you've been through in the early part of the season, you wouldn't think you'd have to get motivated to be ready to go. But again, for people that haven't heard it, listen to what Mark Stoops had to say after practice on Wednesday.
Yeah, we got after him a little bit. I'm not pleased. I'm just, you know, it's frustrating. And you try to teach, you try to coach, you try to educate, and sometimes all that don't work. You know, so you know, the truth is the truth. If we're so fragile we can't handle the truth, then we're not going to win very many games. But I told him the truth today.
Discouraging because I thought we had a really good practice yesterday. So we're immature. I don't know why we just can't lock in and go to work every day. We just can't take it serious every day, and that's disappointing.
I'm not satisfied. Coach Stoops not satisfied. Coach is not satisfied. We can't slip up and not be dominant out here. We got to be dominant every play. So if he's not happy, we're not happy.
Sam, those are some real red flag words right there, and we'll talk some more about that. But, man, that is tough stuff. South Carolina, Kentucky tomorrow night, 7:30 on the SEC Network. A lot of guys will call out their guys publicly to see how they respond. It'll be interesting to see how the Cats respond tomorrow night.
Yeah, proofs in how they play out on the field. And
winning takes care of a lot, doesn't it?
Takes care of everything.
Speaking of winning taking care of a lot, last week our picks, we were 3-0 on those picks. So let's take a look this week. How about Tennessee, ranked 14th? They'll face 19th ranked Florida. Did you know that Florida has won 11 straight over Tennessee? Tennessee's got the best talent. They're favored. Florida's quarterback is out, but I like the Gators. They've won 11 straight. You got to knock out the champ. Let's talk about the other one. This is in the West. Who's going to be the team that might challenge Alabama? Arkansas, maybe. Texas A&M, maybe? Well, Arkansas got this big win in overtime over TCU earlier this year. Mark Stoops' best friend in the business is Brett Bielema, the Arkansas coach. He is going to ground and pound. This is a job that might determine Kevin Sumlin's future at Texas A&M. I like Arkansas to win the game and to continue their upward trajectory. Neither one of these teams were in the top 25 preseason, Sam.
Arkansas's had a lot of momentum this year, and people saying, hey, this is a team to watch out for. UK and South Carolina, what are you thinking?
It started off as a pick. Kentucky's now a 2.5-point favorite. I don't know how they're a 2.5-point favorite over anybody. You just don't know what they're going to do. Right. Difference in this game, you got to value the pig.
Okay.
You've heard interested and committed?
Yep.
Like when you talk about breakfast, the chicken's interested. The pig is fully committed. Okay? And
I've never heard that before.
South Carolina turned over East Carolina 5 times last week. Kentucky's got to hold on to the ball. If they do, they got a great chance to win.
South Carolina's vulnerable, but so is Kentucky.
Absolutely.
All right. An hour of Family Feud is next. Then at 8, Masters of Illusion, followed by Penn and Teller at 9. And over on WKYT, MacGyver at 8, Hawaii 5-0 at 9, Blue Bloods at 10, followed by WKYT News at 11 o'clock.
Finally, take a look at this. Chicken lovers from all over are in London for the 27th World Chicken Festival.
Oh, you talk about loving chicken. The festival began yesterday. It runs through Sunday. Yeah, they're moving fast there. It features live music, rides, and games, and, of course, plenty of fried chicken.
We typically serve about 7,000 pounds or a little over 3.5 tons of fried chicken during the festival.
That's a lot of chicken. The festival celebrates the founder of Kentucky Fried Chicken, Colonel Harlan Sanders, who established his first restaurant in Laurel County in the 1940s. I've actually been to that original restaurant and the festival too.
Yeah.
And the festival is a lot of fun. If you've never been, it is worth the drive to Laurel County just to check it out.
Both of us will be at the game tomorrow. I'm looking forward to it.
Yes.
Huge game for the program and Mark Stoops. Also, as far as the weather, it's going to be pretty hot out there, so you may want to bring some sunscreen, be prepared for the sun.
Hydrate, and hopefully the crowd will be a big crowd. Show them lots of support, and we can watch Kentucky beat South Carolina.
There you go. All right. Thanks for watching us here on the CW Lexington live at 6:30. We'll be back here next Monday. Take care.